Welcome back, everyone, to season 2 of You're Not Alone Conversations. I'm your host and presenter, Geetika, and today we bring to you an extremely special episode as we celebrate World Mental Health Day as well as commemorate the birth month of Mahatma Gandhi ji, the father of our nation. We'll be speaking with Miss Tara Gandhi Bhattacharjee, the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Hello.
Hello, Deepika.
Hanji, hi ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today on You're Not Alone Conversations. We're absolutely honored to have you and to talk to you about one of the most important issues that all of us are dealing with right now, which is the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is causing a lot of emotional turmoil within us as we don't know how to cope with it or how to deal with it, especially because we keep feeling we're the only ones going through it. We're all very excited to learn more about any fear that your grandfather, Mahatma Gandhi ji, may have felt while he sought independence for our country and also how he coped with it and dealt with it at home. I would also like to hear your perspective on dealing with the fear of the unknown that the pandemic has brought with it. How are you coping with it and how are you dealing with it? But before we delve into the fear factor, we would really love to know more about your grandfather, Mahatma Gandhi ji. We would love to hear how your relationship was with Mahatma Gandhi ji.
You know, I am not Mahatma Gandhi's granddaughter. I am a biological granddaughter of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi.
Right.
I knew him till I was nearly 14 when he was assassinated in the then Birla House. It is now Gandhi Smriti in Delhi. I was very close to my grandmother till she died some years before Gandhi in the prison of Aga Khan Palace in Pune.
Right.
I was very close to the great leaders of the extraordinary era, though I lived every day as a very ordinary day. My relationship with my grandparents was that of grandparents and granddaughter. There was no awe in that, but there was great joy and pleasure in being with my grandparents. And I was very close to Gandhi until he was assassinated. And it was always a joy because he was very fearless, and people were not afraid of him. His fearlessness was not the fear that caused fear. He inspired love and faith and trust. So my relationship with them, with my grandparents, was that of a normal granddaughter and grandparents. But I realized that he was a very special person because there was always a crowd around him, and he was treated like that. So I was conscious always that he was a great person, but my relationship with him remained very normal. He was not, and I was never afraid of him. It was very nice, very interesting to be with him. And it was great fun being with him and learning. At that time, there was no mobiles, no cellular phone, no radio, no television. So without all this technology, yet the life was very interesting with him, because walking with him, meeting him in the prisons or in the ashrams or in the railway platforms, all this was of great interest to me.
That's very fascinating. But being his granddaughter, he is still a legend and he's still the father of our country. Do you think there was a problem that you faced as as a descendant of the father of our country? Like any pressure that came with the name?
Well, even now, it is no problem. But the point is, people are always asking us questions as I'm growing older. I'm in my 87th year, running into the 87th year.
Wow.
And I'm realizing that every day as it goes, I have to answer more questions on Gandhi. And people are turning to Gandhi. And there is a huge search for Gandhi. And I have to be conscious of the fact that what I say will be taken very seriously. So I have to speak the truth, and yet I have to be conscious that what I say is of great responsibility. And it is not something that scares me, but it's something at my age sometimes tires me because I have to repeat the same thing as I'm doing the last 3 weeks, because 2nd of October, around 2nd of October or 30th of January, people from all over the world are asking the same questions. But it gives me also to look into myself. People are everywhere looking for Gandhi, in search of Gandhi. And what was Gandhi like? What is he? And my answer is to that is that if you look for Gandhi, you will not find him. But if you listen to your own conscience, you will find Gandhi. Because what you must remember is that Gandhi did not have a Gandhi before him.
Right.
And he read all the philosophies of the world and took out the best, and he applied them in the dailiness of his life. Great values were not meant to be kept on the shelf or celebrated on special days, but they were to be lived every minute of your daily life. So he called his life My Experiments with Truth. And we have concluded the 150th anniversary of Gandhi. And when we talk of Gandhi, let's not forget that it is also Kasturba, his wife's anniversary. Right. And he could not have reached so easily the spiritual heights.
Right.
I'm not saying easily in a sort of a loose way. I'm saying it was a great struggle for him. Yet he reached great spiritual heights, which could not have been that normal for him. It could have been difficult for him if it had not been helped by his wife Kasturba. They were both only 13-year-old, about little more than that. And a little did she know that she had married a man who was going to be the icon of the history of human race. And so, Kasturba contributed so much to his life that in the end he said that I have learned the lesson of Satyagraha from my wife Kasturba.
Ma'am, out of curiosity, because you're talking about your grandmother, did she ever fear for her husband's life because he was leading a movement and he was trying to get India its independence? Did she ever fear for his life or fear that she would lose her husband to all of this?
Yes, that's a very good question. I don't think she ever feared for that. But she feared, not feared, it's a very good question. But she was always wanting Gandhi to succeed. She was always fearful that Gandhi should not fail in his struggles. It was not so much for his life,
right,
but that Gandhi should not fail in his struggles, in his experiments.
Oh.
And that was very conscious. That is why she tried to argue with him, and she wanted to convince herself, because she wanted to know actually that Gandhi was right or wrong. So she was always protecting Gandhi, not protecting him only for life, but protecting him for his values.
I think what you've touched upon is also the fact that without support, I think nobody can actually go on and achieve anything and accomplish anything. And in the case of your grandfather, I think without your grandmother's support, he would definitely not have been able to do that. I wanted to ask you about your personal, if you've ever in your life faced a fear that has hindered you from doing something, just you personally.
You know, we are all, as I said, I'm a biological granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi,
right,
of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi.
Right.
And so I'm a normal person with all my fears.
Mm-hmm.
We are born with fear. Like all lives, every life, human life, animal life, all that, we are all fearful.
Mm-hmm.
We are fearful of the unknown. If there's a danger leaks, even in animals and everything you have seen, they're afraid of any attack from the unknown.
Right.
So we are all, every life is fearful. And we are fearful of the unknown. But the way to get over that is spiritual and also practical. We have to be escapists. I mean, then this is all. I mean, yet we are fearful of death. We know everything. We don't take anything above with us. Yet we are accumulating things.
Mm-hmm.
And we are jealous of each other. We are afraid of each other. We want more, or we want our children to succeed more than others. Mm-hmm. So this fear element is there in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a global chain. Fear has caused a global chain today.
Right.
But what is even more powerful than fear is the sentiment of love that binds the human race. And that is why we are all living and existing. Fear is there, but so is love. And it is because of this love and compassion that we are still as human beings exist. We read all about this gang rape, murder, terror, chemical warfare, nuclear warfare. Mm-hmm. But yet, the global chain of love is superior to all. And when we realize that, whether in our internal journey of spirituality or in a practical way, we get over the fear and accept what is going to happen and live for the moment. And the best way to avoid that fear is to do the best for the moment. And that is listening to the conscience. Mm-hmm. So I am not different from others. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking as an 86 plus year old woman, and with my own experience, that a spiritual journey, of course, helps, but also a practical approach to life. And also to know that all other lives are as important as our life. What do we know? What do the animals think or fear? Or what is their philosophy? I don't know what the ants and the insects and what they feel. I don't know what the plant life is like. I don't know. They all have their language, animals or plants. Only we do not understand them.
Right.
So we live within the limits of a human being. And in that, we must learn to be compassionate. Right. And if we are compassionate towards the next human being, we can also get over the sense of fear. We have to be compassionate as human beings still, because we are limited as human beings. Even Gandhi and Einstein worked only within the limits of the human mind. They could not go beyond. No one, a human being cannot go beyond, because we can never know what is beyond the horizon or what is beyond life. Right. But what do the other lives think?
Right.
So what Gandhi wanted in India after the political liberation was the Sarvodaya Kranti, which is the spiritual awakening, the spiritual reawakening of the human spirit.
Right.
In harmony with nature, environment, and all life, without exploitation of man and nature.
Ma'am,
we have to.
Sorry.
In that way, maybe we can get over the fear. Once a friend asked me, once a kind gentleman asked me during a conference on peace, what is the opposite of love?
Right.
And we kept saying hate, anger, indifference, revenge. We have given many more definitions. But my friend said, all this is true, but the real opposite of love is fear. So if we have love and compassion, we will certainly get over fear, which comes naturally with every life.
And at present,
And
with
what
the
is
pandemic,
most important today is for the better future for mankind. The utmost importance is needed to the education of children.
Right.
A child has to be educated with love and kindness to become a responsible adult in future. This is of great importance. And what is the future we need? We need a future where the human mind is without violence and the environment is without pollution. You know, we say that the Ganges is polluted. Ganges is not polluted. It is my mind, the human mind, that has polluted the Ganges.
Very true.
Our mind has led to pollution, to negligence, and we pollute the nature and environment down rivers. We worship rivers, but look at us. If we have to throw anything, we say, "Let it not be my house. Let me throw it next where."
True.
And so that we are not. In that way, we are not kind to nature. And recently, Pope said, recently, I mean, a couple of years or more ago, I heard him that in a public congregation in the Vatican City,
right,
that Creator always forgives us, but what is created never forgives. So please be kind to what is created, which means every life. And we have seen today this coronavirus, this worldwide, this pandemic, and I think now I am really grateful with everyone else, with all of you, grateful to millions of people all over the world who have risked their lives to help the needy and the society.
Very true.
So this is, and non-violence and peace are a celebration of our consciousness to honor life and creation. Non-violence is not something lack of violence. Non-violence means courage, constructive work. We cannot be just quiet and not do constructive work. Gandhi was on a spiritual journey throughout his life, just as his wife was. But he did not go to the Himalayas like a sadhu. He dressed like a man of action in the fields of India. He wore a half dhoti. His chest was naked. He did not wear any stitched cloth or no shirt. He had no socks in the winter of Delhi.
Right.
He used a chadar whenever it was cold. And he fasted a lot. He ate, older as he was getting more and more ascetic and a very disciplined life.
Right.
But at the same time, he was softer. He was very kind to people, laughter. Enemies would come, people with different opinions would come and knock on his door. And they did not even have to knock because the door was open. They would get into the room where he sat and say, "Mr. Gandhi, I don't agree with you." And they would leave without any anger and and only as a friend.
Right.
So this was Gandhi's charm of fearlessness. And I will conclude with one thing.
Right.
That the terrorists today and the violent people today have had brutal childhood. So let us remember that young people like you and others of your age and children, they need good examples so that tomorrow they will be the responsible citizens of the country and the world. The most important thing today is education and examples that we lay before them. So with you, with everyone, this is a celebration of our consciousness to honor life and creation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Your words have been so inspirational, and I think what we're trying to convey through our conversations, that people are not alone in what they're going through. I think what you have said about fear, about us fighting fear and us fighting fear with love and compassion. That's
Yes.
something all of us needed to hear.
Yes, I would like to say something which you want to record.
Hanji.
That the greatest force in creation, according to Gandhi, was the Matra Shakti, the mother force, which is there in man, woman, child, and every life. And if you can give a bit of that love to the next human being, there will be no chance of terror and fear in this world.
That's very beautiful. I truly hope people this reaches to people that need to hear it.
Theek hai beta.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was truly an honor to speak with you today on You're Not Alone Conversations. To everyone who's watching us, we hope that this was an inspiration to all of you as it was for us. Thank you, Thai Delhi, for being our outreach partner, and thank you, HSpot, for powering us. Everyone, please do download the HSpot app from www.hspot.co. Everyone, please don't forget to give us your comments and your suggestions, which we can always use for our next episodes. Stay tuned and we'll be back with more episodes. Until next time, this is Geetika signing off. And don't forget, you're not alone. Take care, everyone.